The stars outside the window looked like tiny drops of white paint on black paper. Captain Yuna stood at the bridge of her ship, the Hanol, and watched them carefully. She had been in space for 3 years now. She knew these stars like old friends. But today, something was different. The alarm had gone off 10 minutes ago. A ship was coming. A big ship. Bigger than anything humans had ever seen before. "Captain," said Sunho from his seat at the navigation panel. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking a little. "They are slowing down. I think they want to meet us." Yuna nodded slowly. She had read the reports from Earth. The Velrath Empire had been watching humanity for many years. They were a powerful group of alien races that controlled half the galaxy, and the most feared among them were the Kari. The Kari were hunters. They looked like giant cats, but they walked on two legs like humans. Their bodies were covered in thick fur of different colors. Their eyes glowed in the dark. Their claws could cut through metal like butter. Every planet they visited learned to fear them, and now a Kari ship was coming to meet the Hanul. "Should we run?" asked Jiwoo from the pilot seat. She was young, only 25, but she was the best pilot on the ship. "No," said Yuna. "If we run, they will chase us, and they are faster than us. We will meet them." The crew looked at each other. There were only 12 people on the Hanul. It was a research ship, not a warship. They had no big weapons. They had no army. They only had their brains and their courage. Doyun, the engineer, stood up from his chair. He was a tall man with kind eyes and dirty hands. He always had oil on his fingers from fixing machines. "Captain, what do you want us to do?" Yuna thought for a moment. "Clean up the meeting room, make some tea, and everyone, please smile. We are going to be friendly." The crew looked confused, but they did what she said. They had learned to trust their captain. She had kept them safe through many dangers before. 20 minutes later, the Kari ship connected to the Hanul. The airlock opened with a loud hiss. Yuna stood at the front, her back straight and her face calm. Behind her stood Mirai, Dohyun, and Yunji. The first Kari stepped through the door, and Yuna felt her heart jump. The alien was huge, almost 3 meters tall. His fur was dark gray with black stripes. His eyes were yellow like the sun. He wore armor made of something that looked like bone. "I am Commander Ravik of the Velrath Empire," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "You are humans. We have heard about your kind." Yuna bowed her head a little. "I am Captain Yuna of the research ship Hanul. Welcome to our ship. Would you like some tea?" Commander Ravik stared at her. His eyes narrowed. "You are not afraid." "Should I be?" asked Yuna. The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Interesting. Most species run when they see us. They scream. They beg. You offer us tea." "Running seems pointless," said Yuna simply, "and screaming hurts my throat. Tea is much better." More Kari came through the airlock. Yuna counted 8 adults. They were all big and scary looking. But then she saw something that made her pause. 3 smaller Kari followed behind the adults. They were young, cubs. Each one was still taller than any human, maybe 2 meters. But they moved differently than the adults. Their steps were bouncy. Their eyes looked around with curiosity. Their tails swished back and forth. Commander Ravik noticed Yuna looking at them. "My children," he said. There was pride in his voice. "They are training to be hunters. I bring them to show them how weak species behave when they meet the Kari." Yuna looked at the cubs. The largest one was female with golden fur and green eyes. She was trying to look fierce, but her ears kept twitching at every new sound. The middle one was male, with spotted fur like a leopard. He was sniffing the air, curious about all the new smells. The smallest one, also male, had pure white fur. He was looking at a hanging wire near the ceiling with strange focus. "They are beautiful," said Yuna honestly. Commander Ravik blinked. This was clearly not what he expected her to say. "They are deadly. They have been training since they could walk. Each one has already made their first kill." "Still beautiful," said Yuna. She smiled at the cubs. The golden one looked away quickly, embarrassed. The spotted one tilted his head. The white one was still watching that wire. The meeting room was small but clean. Yunji had prepared tea and some sweet rice cakes. The adult Kari sat on one side of the table, looking uncomfortable in the small human chairs. The cubs sat behind their father, trying to look serious. "We are here to discuss your place in the Empire," said Commander Ravik. "Humans are new to space. You are weak. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. But you have many planets now. The Empire must decide what to do with you." Yuna sipped her tea calmly. "And what are the options? You can become servants. You can work for the Empire. Or—" he let the word hang in the air. "Or you will destroy us," Yuna finished. "Yes." The room was silent. Behind the commander, the white cub had found a small ball of tape on the floor. Someone had dropped it during the cleaning. His eyes locked onto it like it was the most important thing in the universe. His back legs started to wiggle. Yuna noticed this. She also noticed that the spotted cub was watching Doyun's fingers tap on the table, and the golden cub's eyes kept following Mirai's swinging ponytail. Something clicked in Yuna's mind. A memory from Earth. She had grown up with cats, many cats. She knew that look. "Commander," she said slowly, "may I ask your cubs some questions? I would like to understand your culture better." Commander Ravik seemed pleased by this. He thought she was trying to show respect. "Of course. Children, answer the humans' questions." The cubs stepped forward, standing tall and trying to look dangerous. Yuna smiled at them warmly. "Tell me," she said, "what do you like to do for fun?" The question seemed to confuse everyone in the room. The adult Kari looked at each other. The cubs looked at their father. "Fun?" said Commander Ravik. "Kari do not have fun. We train. We hunt. We conquer." But Yuna saw it. She saw the way the white cub's eyes went back to the tape ball. She saw the spotted cub's tail start to swish. She saw the golden cub's ears perk up at the word fun. They were hunters, yes. They were trained killers. But they were also young. And youth, Yuna knew, was the same everywhere in the universe. She had an idea, a crazy idea, an idea that might save humanity or get them all killed. She decided to try it anyway. The meeting continued for another hour. Commander Ravik talked about the power of the Velrath Empire. He talked about the hundreds of planets they controlled. He talked about the armies they commanded. He talked about how many species had fallen before the mighty Kari. Yuna listened and nodded and sipped her tea. But her eyes kept going back to the cubs. The white cub had found the tape ball again. He was pushing it with his paw, very slowly, when he thought no one was watching. Every time an adult looked at him, he stopped and put on his serious face. But the moment they looked away, his paw went back to the ball. The spotted cub was getting restless. He kept shifting his weight from one foot to the other. His claws were coming out and going back in. Out and in. Out and in. He was bored, Yuna realized. Terribly, dangerously bored. The golden cub was the best at hiding it. She sat perfectly still, like a statue. But her tail told a different story. It kept moving, twitching, curling and uncurling. She was fighting hard to stay calm, but something inside her wanted to move. Dohyun leaned over to Yuna. "Captain," he whispered, "the spotted one is making me nervous. His claws are very big." "I know," Yuna whispered back. "I have a plan. I need you to go to the storage room. Bring me the emergency entertainment kit." Dohyun looked confused. "The what?" "The box of things we use when the crew gets bored during long trips. The games, the toys. You know." Dohyun's eyes went wide. "Captain, are you serious?" "Very serious. Go now. Quietly." Dohyun slipped out of the room. Commander Ravik did not notice. He was too busy describing a battle where the Kari had defeated an army of 10,000 warriors. Mirai moved closer to Yuna. "What are you planning?" she asked in a low voice. "Something stupid," said Yuna. "Or something brilliant. I am not sure which yet." 5 minutes later, Dohyun came back. He carried a large plastic box. Inside were laser pointers, balls of string, small bells, rubber balls, and crinkly packages from food rations. The moment the box entered the room, all three cubs turned to look at it. Their eyes locked onto it like hunters finding prey. Their ears went forward. Their noses twitched. Commander Ravik was still talking. "And then we burned their cities to the ground and—" "Excuse me, Commander," said Yuna, standing up. "I think your cubs might be tired from the long journey. Perhaps they would like to stretch their legs? We have a recreation room on this ship. They could relax while we continue our important discussion." Commander Ravik frowned. "They do not need rest. They are Kari. Of course, or said Yuna, but the recreation room has interesting things. It might be educational for them to see how humans spend their time. The golden cub spoke for the first time. Father, may we go? It could be useful to study the humans. Her voice was deep for her age, but there was a hint of excitement hiding underneath. Commander Ravik thought about it. Then he waved his paw. Fine, go. Learn what you can about these weak creatures. The cubs tried to walk out slowly and with dignity, but the moment they were through the door, Yuna heard their footsteps speed up. She smiled. Lieutenant Mirai, please show our young guest to the recreation room and bring the box. Mirai picked up the box and followed the cubs. Yunji went with her. They walked down the gray metal hallway to a large room with soft floors and colorful walls. It was the place where the crew went to relax and play games. The cubs stood in the middle of the room looking around. They tried to look unimpressed, but their eyes were moving fast, taking in everything. This is where we play, said Mirai. She put the box down on the floor. Play, said the golden cub. Kari, do not play. We train. Of course, said Mirai. She reached into the box and pulled out a small laser pointer. This is a training tool. We use it to practice focus. She pressed the button. A small red dot appeared on the floor. The reaction was immediate. All three cubs went completely still. Their eyes locked onto the red dot. Their bodies lowered like they were getting ready to jump. The white cub's tail puffed up to twice its normal size. Mirai moved the dot slowly across the floor. The cubs followed it with their eyes. Their heads moved together, left and right, perfectly synchronized. She moved the dot faster. The spotted cub could not take it anymore. He jumped. His body flew through the air like a missile. His claws came out, ready to catch the dot. But when he landed, the dot was gone. Mirai had moved it to the wall. The cub looked at his empty paws. Then he looked at the wall. Then he jumped again. It was like a dam breaking. The golden cub forgot all about being serious and dignified. She started chasing the dot too. Her jumps were higher and more graceful than her brothers. She twisted in the air, trying to catch the light. The white cub took a different approach. He studied the dot's movements. He calculated where it would go next. Then he pounced. He missed, but he was closer than the others. Mirai could not believe what she was seeing. These were the feared Kari hunters, the terror of the galaxy, and they were chasing a laser pointer like house cats chasing a toy. Yunji started laughing. She could not help it. The sight was too funny. The golden cub stopped. Why are you laughing? She demanded. Her fur was messy from jumping. Her tongue was hanging out a little. I am sorry, said Yunji, still smiling. You are just very good at training. The cub seemed satisfied with this answer. She went back to chasing the dot. Mirai looked at Yunji. Get more toys, she said. All of them. Yunji ran to get supplies. She came back with handfuls of things: strings, bells, crinkly packages, rubber balls, and something she had made from cleaning supplies that looked like a bird with feathers. She threw the feather toy into the air. The golden cub forgot all about the laser dot. Her eyes went wide. She jumped 3 meters straight up and caught the feather toy in her mouth. She landed on all 4 legs, her tail swishing proudly. I caught it, she said around the feathers. Then she seemed to realize what she had done. She dropped the toy and stepped back. I captured the enemy. For study purposes. Of course, said Mirai. She kept her face very serious. Do-Yun came into the room carrying a long cable. The captain said to bring this. She said it might be useful for training. He dragged the cable across the floor. The spotted cub completely lost his mind. He ran after the cable, sliding on the smooth floor, crashing into walls, getting tangled up in his own legs. He did not care. He had to catch the cable. It was the most important thing in the universe. Meanwhile, the white cub had discovered the crinkly packages. He pressed his paw on one, and it made a beautiful crinkling sound. His eyes went wide. He pressed again. More crinkles. He started pressing faster and faster, making a rhythm. Crinkle, 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 crinkle. This material, he said seriously, makes excellent sounds. I must study it more. He lay down on the pile of packages and started rolling around, making crinkles with every movement. Mirai sent a message to Captain Yuna. Phase 1 complete. Cubs are completely distracted. They have forgotten they are supposed to be scary. Yuna received the message during a very boring speech from Commander Ravik about Kari honor. She smiled behind her teacup. Her plan was working. The feared hunters of the galaxy had met their match. Not in weapons or armies, but in simple toys that spoke to something deep inside them. Something they could not control. The instinct to play. And this, Yuna thought, was just the beginning. 2 hours passed. In the meeting room, Commander Ravik had finished talking about the power of the Velrath Empire. Now he was asking questions about human technology and resources. Yuna answered carefully, giving small pieces of information, but never too much. But in the recreation room, something amazing was happening. Sunho had joined Mirai, Yunji, and Dohyun. He brought his personal collection of toys from his room. He had stress balls, fidget spinners, and a yo-yo that lit up with colorful lights. The cubs had completely abandoned any pretense of being fierce hunters. The golden cub, whose name was Tara, was currently hanging from a pipe on the ceiling. Below her, Yunji was waving the feather toy back and forth. Every few seconds, Tara would let go of the pipe, fly through the air, grab the feather, and somehow land back on the pipe again. She has done this 23 times, Dohyun whispered to Sunho. I have been counting. Is she tired? They asked Sunho. As if to answer his question, Tara jumped again. This time she did a flip in the air before catching the feather. I do not think she knows what tired means, said Dohyun. The spotted cub's name was Baru. He was currently wrestling with a pile of strings that had somehow gotten wrapped around his entire body. His legs were tied together. His tail was caught in a knot. One string was hanging from his ear. Help, he said. But he was purring loudly while he said it. Mirai went to help him, but every time she got close, he would kick his legs and get more tangled. Stay still, she said. I cannot, he said. The strings move. The strings do not move. You are moving. That cannot be true. I am a hunter. I am in control. The string around his ear slipped and bopped him on the nose. He sneezed. Miri had to look away so he would not see her laughing. The white cub's name was Kiwi. He had found a new love, bubble wrap. Someone had brought a large sheet of bubble wrap from the storage room. Kiwi had been popping the bubbles one by one for the past 30 minutes. His face was completely focused. His tongue stuck out a little as he concentrated. Pop, pop, pop. This is the most satisfying thing I have ever done, he said. Better than hunting, better than training, better than everything. Pop, pop, pop. Sunho sat down next to him. You know, on Earth, we have machines that make endless bubble wrap. Kiwi stopped popping. He turned to look at Sunho with huge eyes. Endless? Yes. You can pop bubbles forever if you want. Kiwi was quiet for a long moment. Then he said very seriously, I think I understand now why humans have survived so long. In another corner of the room, Tara had finally come down from the ceiling. She was now lying on her back, all four paws in the air, while Unji rubbed her belly. This is a weakness check, Tara explained. Her voice was sleepy and happy. I am testing if your hands can find weak points in my armor. Of course, said Yunji. She scratched behind Tara's ear. Tara's back legs started kicking automatically. She made a sound that was definitely not a purr, because Kari hunters do not purr. It was absolutely a purr, a very loud purr. Baru had finally escaped from the strings. Now he was playing a new game with Dohyun. Dohyun would throw a rubber ball, and Baru would chase it. He would run across the room at incredible speed, catch the ball in his mouth, and bring it back. Throw it again, Baru demanded, dropping the ball at Dohyun's feet. His tail was wagging like a happy dog. Are you sure? You have been running for an hour. Again, Dohyun threw the ball. Baru zoomed after it like a furry rocket. Mirai was recording everything on her personal tablet. She did not know if anyone would believe this later. The most feared hunters in the galaxy, reduced to happy balls of fur by simple human toys. Why does this work? She asked Sunho quietly. Sunho thought about it. I think it is because they are still young. Adults forget how to play, but young creatures, they need to play. It is how they learn. It is how they grow. It is built into their brains. So no matter how much they train them to be killers, the play instinct is still there, waiting. We just woke it up. Kiwi had finished his bubble wrap. He looked around for more, but there was none. His lower lip stuck out in what was definitely not a pout because Kari do not pout. Sunho took out his yo-yo. Want to see something cool? He threw the yo-yo down. It spun at the end of its string, lights flashing. Then he pulled it back up into his hand. All three cubs stopped what they were doing. They stared at the yo-yo like it was magic. How did you do that? Tara demanded. It is physics, said Sunho. The string spins and stores energy. Then the energy brings it back up. Do it again. Sunho did it again. This time he did a trick, making the yo-yo spin in a circle. Baru's eyes followed the spinning lights. His head went around and around. I am getting dizzy, he said, but he did not look away. Kiwi reached out a paw toward the yo-yo. Can I try? Sunho handed him the yo-yo. Kiwi put the string around his claw and threw the yo-yo down. It hit the floor with a thunk and did not come back up. It is broken, Kiwi said sadly. No, no, you have to flick your wrist. Like this. Sunho showed him the movement. Kiwi tried again. This time the yo-yo came halfway back up before falling again. Again, said Kiwi. His eyes were determined. I will master this human weapon. For the next 20 minutes, Kiwi practiced with the yo-yo. He failed many times, but slowly he got better. Finally, he managed to throw it down and catch it coming back up. I did it, he shouted. His voice echoed through the ship. I conquered the spinning light ball. Tara and Baru gathered around him, looking at the yo-yo with new respect. Teach us, said Tara. Find your own human toy, said Kiwi, holding the yo-yo close to his chest. Sunho laughed. I have more yo-yos. Everyone can have one. For the next hour, the recreation room was filled with the sounds of yo-yos hitting the floor, cubs arguing, and occasional cheers when someone managed a successful throw. Mirai continued to record everything. She also sent regular updates to Captain Yuna. The cubs have learned to use yo-yos. They are treating it like a competitive sport. Baru has declared himself the champion. Tara has challenged him to a rematch. Kiwi is trying to invent new tricks. Yuna read the messages and smiled. In front of her, Commander Ravik was getting impatient. The meeting has gone on long enough, he said. I must check on my cubs. They have been studying your ship for many hours. Of course, said Yuna. Let us go see them together. They walked to the recreation room. Commander Ravik opened the door and froze. His three fierce hunter cubs were lying in a pile on the floor. Tara was using Baru as a pillow. Kiwi was stretched across both of them. They were all purring loudly. Around them were scattered toys, strings, balls, feathers, bubble wrap, and three yo-yos clutched in sleeping paws. Commander Ravik's eye twitched. What? He said very slowly. Have you done to my children? Yuna smiled innocently. They were just training, very intensely. I think they tired themselves out. One of Baru's legs kicked in his sleep. He was dreaming about chasing rubber balls. Commander Ravik had conquered planets. He had defeated armies. He had made emperors beg for mercy. He had no idea how to handle this. Commander Ravik stood in the doorway of the recreation room for a very long time. He did not move. He did not speak. He just stared at his cubs. The other adult Kari gathered behind him. They looked over his shoulder and saw what he saw. Their jaws dropped open. Commander, said one of them, a female with gray fur, what is happening? I do not know, said Commander Ravik. His voice was strange, hollow. Tara rolled over in her sleep. She grabbed a feather toy and hugged it close to her chest. Mine, she mumbled. My feather. Best feather. Baru's tail was still wagging, even though he was unconscious. His paws were moving like he was running, chasing something in his dreams. Kiwi was making small sounds, happy sounds. His yo-yo was clutched so tightly in his claws that no one would be able to take it without waking him. Captain Yuna stood beside Commander Ravik. Her face was calm and pleasant. They trained very hard, she said. They learned many new skills. I think they enjoyed themselves. Enjoyed themselves? Commander Ravik repeated the words like they were in a foreign language. Kari do not enjoy themselves. Kari train. Kari fight. Kari conquer. Of course, said Yuna. And they did all those things. They fought many battles against the red dot. They conquered the yo-yo. They trained their reflexes with the feather toy. Commander Ravik turned to look at her. His yellow eyes were confused and a little bit lost. The red dot? Mary held up the laser pointer. This, sir, it is a very advanced training tool. Humans use it to practice focus and speed. She pressed the button. The red dot appeared on the wall. Something strange happened. Commander Ravik's eyes moved to the dot. They locked onto it. His body went very still. Mirai moved the dot slowly to the left. Commander Ravik's head followed it. She moved it to the right. His head followed again. The other adult Kari were doing the same thing. 7 pairs of eyes tracking the tiny red light. Yuna noticed this. She filed the information away for later. Mirai turned off the laser pointer. Commander Ravik blinked several times, like he was waking up from a dream. That, he said slowly, that is a dangerous weapon. Very dangerous, Yuna agreed. But do not worry. We only use it for training purposes. Commander Ravik looked back at his cubs. Tara had started to drool on her feather toy. It was not a dignified sight. They were supposed to learn how weak humans are, he said. They were supposed to see you beg and cry and run away. Plans change, said Yuna. Jiwoo came down the hallway carrying a tray. Captain, I made more tea. Would the commander like some? She offered a cup to Commander Ravik. He took it automatically. He looked down at the brown liquid. He looked at his sleeping cubs. He looked at the smiling humans. I do not understand you, he said. We came here to threaten you, to show you our power, to make you afraid. Yeah, said Yuna, but you are not afraid. No. Why? Yuna thought about the question carefully. She looked at Tara, sleeping peacefully with her toy. She looked at Baru, dreaming happy dreams. She looked at Kiwi, holding on to his yo-yo like it was treasure. Because, she said, we have seen your cubs, and they are wonderful. Commander Ravik made a choking sound. Wonderful? They are supposed to be terrifying. They are young, said Yuna. Young creatures are the same everywhere. They want to play. They want to explore. They want to have fun. Your cubs are not different from human children. Not really. They are completely different, Commander Ravik protested. They are hunters. They are trained killers. And human children play with toy swords and pretend to be warriors, said Yuna. But they are still children, just like yours. Commander Ravik did not have an answer for this. Yunji stepped forward. She had been watching quietly. Commander, may I tell you something? He looked at her. What? On Earth, we have animals called cats. They look a lot like your people. Smaller, of course, they walk on 4 legs. But they have the same eyes, the same ears, the same claws. So we have a saying on Earth. All cats are the same, big or small, wild or tame. Give them a string, and they will chase it. Give them a box, and they will sit in it. Give them a warm spot, and they will fall asleep. Commander Ravik's eye twitched again. Are you comparing the mighty Kari to your household pets? No, said Yunji. I am saying that some instincts are universal. Some behaviors are built into the body, into the brain. They cannot be trained away. Your cubs are hunters, yes, but they are also young, and young creatures play. It is how nature works. Commander Ravik was silent for a long moment. He drank his tea. He stared at his sleeping children. Finally, he spoke. When we go back to the Empire, they will ask me what humans are like. They will want to know if you are a threat. And what will you tell them? Yuna asked. Commander Ravik looked at the feather toy in Tara's arms. He looked at the yo-yo in Kiwi's claws. He looked at the string still tangled around Baru's tail. I will tell them, he said slowly, that humans are very strange and possibly very dangerous. But not in the way we expected. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Asked Mirai. Commander Ravik finished his tea. He set the cup down carefully. I do not know yet. He turned to his soldiers. Wake the cubs. We will return to our ship. The adult Kahari moved forward to wake the young ones. But as soon as they got close, something unexpected happened. Tara's eyes snapped open. She saw the feather toy in her arms. She saw the adults approaching, and she did something no one expected. She growled. Mine, she said. Her voice was fierce. This is my feather. I will not give it back. Baru woke up next. He saw his yo-yo and immediately put it in his mouth to protect it. Kiwi did not even fully wake up. He just curled tighter around his toys and made a hissing sound. Commander Ravik stared at his children. What is this? You cannot keep human toys. Why not? Tara demanded. I caught this feather. It is my prey. A hunter keeps their prey. That is not how it works. That is exactly how it works. You said so yourself. The other adult Kari looked at each other nervously. No one wanted to get between angry cubs and their toys. Yuna stepped forward. Commander, perhaps we could come to an arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Your cubs keep the toys. We will even make more for them. In exchange, you give us time. Do not make any decisions about humans today. Come back later. Let us talk more. Commander Ravik looked at his daughter, who was holding the feather toy like it was a weapon. He looked at his sons, who were clearly ready to fight for their prizes. He sighed. It was a very deep sigh. The sigh of a father who knew he had already lost this battle. Fine, he said. Keep the toys. We will return in one of your Earth months to continue discussions. Tara's growl turned into a purr. Thank you, father. Do not thank me. This is a strategic retreat, nothing more. But as the Kari prepared to leave, Yuna saw something interesting. Commander Ravik's eyes kept going back to the laser pointer in Mirai's hand. There was something in those yellow eyes. Longing, maybe, or curiosity. Humans, Yuna thought, had just discovered a new weapon. Not one that killed, not one that destroyed, but one that might be far more powerful. The weapon of play. 1 month passed quickly. The Hanel continued its mission through the stars. Captain Yuna made her reports to Earth. She told them everything that had happened. At first, no one believed her. Then she sent the videos. The videos of the most feared hunters in the galaxy chasing laser pointers and playing with yo-yos became the most watched content in human history. People laughed. People cried. People started making toys specifically designed for the Kari cubs. When Commander Ravik returned, he was not alone. His ship was bigger this time, much bigger. And when the airlock opened, Yuna was surprised to see not just the commander's family, but dozens of other Kari, adults and cubs, all of them looking curious and a little bit nervous. Captain Yuna, said Commander Ravik. He looked tired. There were dark circles under his yellow eyes. Commander Ravik, Yuna replied, you brought friends. I brought problems, he said. Word spread through the Empire about what happened on your ship, about the toys, about the playing. He said the word like it was something shameful. Other families heard. They wanted to see for themselves. Behind him, Yuna could see dozens of young Kari cubs. They were all staring at the human ship with huge, excited eyes. Their tails were swishing. Their ears were forward. They looked like children on the first day of vacation. We also brought gifts, said a female Kari stepping forward. She was older than Commander Ravik, with silver fur and wise eyes. I am Elder Mira of the Kari Council. I came to understand what magic you have used on our young ones. It is not magic, said Yuna. It is just toys. Our children have not stopped talking about toys for 30 days, said Elder Mira. They have been making their own toys from scraps of metal and cloth. They have been teaching each other yo-yo tricks. They have been begging their parents for laser pointers. Yuna tried not to smile. And how do the parents feel about this? Elder Mira's eye twitched. It seemed to be a common Kari expression. The parents are confused. We do not have a word for play in our language. We train. We practice. We prepare for battle. But this is different. This is fun, said Yuna. What is fun? Fun is doing something because it makes you happy, not because it is useful, not because it helps you survive, just because it feels good. Elder Mira thought about this for a long time. This is a dangerous idea. Maybe, but look at your cubs. Do they look unhappy? They both looked at the young Kari. Tara was at the front of the group. She still had her feather toy tied to her belt like a warrior's trophy. She was showing it off to the other cubs who were looking at it with jealousy. She has slept with that feather every night, Commander Ravik said quietly. She has named it. She calls it Fluff. Yuna bit the inside of her cheek to keep from laughing. That is a good name. It is a ridiculous name. She used to name her practice weapons things like Deathbringer and Soul Reaper. Now she has Fluff. Maybe Fluff is better. Commander Ravik did not answer, but his expression said that he was not sure anymore. He was not sure about anything. Yuna clapped her hands together. Well then, Elder Mira, Commander Ravik, honored guests, welcome to the Hanol. We have prepared the recreation room, and we have many, many new toys to show you. The cubs surged forward like a wave. The adults tried to hold them back, but it was like trying to stop water with bare hands. Within seconds, the hallway was full of excited young Kari, all rushing toward the recreation room. Mirai had prepared well. The room was 3 times larger now after they connected it to the cargo bay. It was filled with toys of every kind: laser pointers, yo-yos, feather toys, balls, strings, boxes, tunnels, climbing structures, and in the center of the room, a giant pile of bubble wrap. The chaos that followed was beautiful. Cubs were everywhere, chasing lights, fighting over feathers, diving into boxes, climbing to the ceiling, rolling in bubble wrap. The sound of popping and purring and happy screaming filled the air. The adult Kari stood at the edges of the room, watching with shocked expressions. Some of them looked horrified. Some looked confused. And some looked interested. Elder Mira stood next to Yuna, watching the madness. "This is what humans do," she asked. "This is what all young creatures do," said Yuna. "If you let them." "We never let them. We train them from birth, teach them to be hunters, teach them to be strong." "And that is good," said Yuna. "Strength is important, but so is joy. You cannot have one without the other." Elder Mira watched a small cub discover the yo-yo for the first time. His eyes went wide with wonder as the spinning toy came back up into his paw. "When I was young," Elder Mira said quietly, "I found a piece of string. I used to play with it in secret when no one was watching. I would toss it in the air and catch it, over and over. It made me happy. What happened to it? My mother found it. She took it away. She said warriors do not play with string. I never played again." Elder Mira's voice was soft, sad. "I had forgotten about that, until today." Yuna reached into her pocket. She pulled out a simple piece of string and held it out to Elder Mira. The elder stared at it for a long moment. Then very slowly, she took it. She tossed it in the air. She caught it. A small smile appeared on her face, the first real smile Yuna had ever seen on a Kari. Hours passed. The cubs played until they could not play anymore. One by one, they started to slow down. Their movements became sluggish. Their eyes started to close. They began to pile up in the corners of the room, on the bubble wrap, in the boxes, under the climbing structures. Cubs of all colors, all sizes, all families, curled up together in warm, purring piles. Toys were still clutched in their claws. Feathers stuck out of their fur. Strings were tangled around their tails. And they slept. Deep, happy, peaceful sleep. The adults looked at their children, at the other cubs, at the humans who had made this happen. Commander Ravik approached Captain Yuna. He looked different now. The tension in his shoulders was gone. His eyes were softer. "Captain," he said, "I think we need to talk. Seriously this time. About the future." "I agree," said Yuna. "But first let me ask you something. What do you want for your children?" He did not answer immediately. He looked at Tara, who was sleeping on a pile of bubble wrap with fluff tucked under her chin. He looked at Baru, whose paws were wrapped around 3 different balls. He looked at Kiwi, who was using another cub as a pillow while clutching his beloved yo-yo. "I want them to be strong," he said finally. "I want them to survive. I want them to be great warriors. And, he paused, I want them to be happy. I did not know I wanted that until today, but I do. I want them to be happy." "Then let us make that happen," said Yuna. "For all of them, human children, Kari cubs, every young creature in the galaxy. Let them be strong. Let them be warriors if they want, but also let them play. Let them have joy." Elder Mira joined them. The string was still in her hand. "You are proposing an alliance?" "I am proposing something more than that," said Yuna. "I am proposing friendship, real friendship, based not on fear or power, but on understanding. We are different, yes, but we are also the same. We all want our children to thrive. The room was quiet except for the soft sounds of sleeping cubs. Dozens of little bodies, breathing slowly, dreaming happy dreams. Humans and Kari stood together, watching over them. Commander Ravik extended his paw. I accept, on behalf of my family, on behalf of my cubs. Elder Mira nodded. I accept. On behalf of the Kari Council, we will need to discuss details. But I believe this is a good beginning. Yuna shook the commander's paw and bowed to the elder. Then let the discussions begin. But quietly. We do not want to wake them. They looked again at the sleeping cubs. At the toys still trapped under tiny claws. At the peaceful, innocent faces. Humanity's greatest weapon was never violence. It was never technology. It was never military might. It was the universal language of play, the power of joy, the simple truth that every creature, no matter how fierce, was once young, and every young creature, no matter how trained, still wanted to play. The Kari had come to conquer. They left as friends, and it all started with a laser pointer and a feather toy. The cubs slept on, dreaming of chasing red dots and catching feathers. Their toys stayed clutched in their claws, and in their dreams, they were not hunters, they were not warriors. They were just children, happy playing children, as all children should be.